Good morning, afternoon or evening, wherever you are. I'm Paul Clark and welcome to the woods. Now today I've rented this lovely little cabin in the woods for us to paint. Now all I've got to do is find it. So come and join me. Yeah, I found it at last. It's really warmed up a treat in here. So just before we start, I would like to thank everyone who continues to support this channel. It really is appreciated. So, shall we get going? Okay, so today's materials, my paper is some 300-pound Winsor & Newton professional rough texture, but any decent watercolour paper will do. My colours today, some cobalt blue, alizarin crimson, yellow ochre, Payne's grey, dioxazine purple, some burnt umber and burnt sienna, 5 brushes from my range, a mop, 3/4 inch flat, number 12 and number 6 round, and of course my trusty number 3 rigger. So here's the pencil sketch, free to download from my website, link below in the description. Right, using my flat brush, I'm pre-wetting all the background with clean water. Straight away I'm dropping in some yellow ochre, cobalt blue, alizarin crimson, dioxazine purple, and letting it all bleed wet in wet. Next, with some table salt, I'm lightly sprinkling in a few granules into the wet wash. Next, with clean water again, I'm part wetting the foreground, so I get both soft and hard edges. I'm dropping in a mix of cobalt blue and dioxazine purple, and this will give the snow shadows, leaving most of the paper white for the snow. Now the background is still damp, so I'm splatting in some cobalt blue, and it's just a great way of getting paint onto the paper without disturbing it with your brush. Some yellow ochre here, with just some touches of burnt umber and Payne's grey dropped in wet in wet. So now for this little stream, and I'm using some Payne's grey, leaving those little white islands of snow. So now we need to let this totally dry So it's a perfect time for a short break. And what about a lovely hot toddy?
Paul, have you emptied the dishwasher yet?
So here you can just see the effects of the salt, but it's quite subtle on this 100% cotton paper. But here you can see with my little practice sketch on some Bockingford, which is a pulp-based paper, the effect is somewhat different, perhaps even better. So here I'm looking for some contrast on the side of the roof. So I'm spraying with clean water just here and drying out the corner with some tissue so it won't bleed. And then painting in this fir tree in a mix of cobalt blue and Payne's grey. And the spray will just help to soften and blur the image slightly. And here with that purpley snow shadow mix, I'm just adding in a few details. Now for the cabin, and with my number 12 brush, this is a mix of alizarin crimson with a touch of burnt sienna. But I'm also dropping in various mixes of yellow ochre and burnt umber, all done wet in wet. Burnt umber here again for some stone details. And now for some very creamy consistency of Payne's grey. Chimney here, and this is any old brown will do. Now for the big tree, and I'm painting in with my number 12 brush and a good watery mix of yellow ochre and burnt sienna, just the main trunk and branches. Now while this is still wet, I'm coming in from the top with a very creamy dark consistency mix of burnt umber and cobalt blue.
Go and take a walk in the snow. It is medicine for the soul.
Now with my number 6 brush for these smaller branches.
In the winter sky could fly away. People don't seem to understand. My search for freedom, my beers for games. wall make perfect sense. Destination.
And using the same colour here for some shadows on the porch.
As much as the road to get there. Gonna take a walk in the snow. It's just like.
Okay, so now for the trees over here in the midground. And again, I want to give them a misty, feathery effect. So I'm spraying first with clean water and then starting with my number 6 brush for the main trunk.
I search for freedom, my peaceful games.
Now with my trusty number 3 rigger for the smaller branches, and you can see where some of the droplets of spray have given this lovely fuzzy effect.
But to me it all makes perfect sense. Perfect sense.
Still with the same colour and my number 6 and a very strong mix, I'm painting in all those little details which really make all the difference and pull the painting together. Here I'm just painting in a little wash of the snow shadow colour, but leaving a little gap to suggest snow on the top of the wall. So as I don't have a reference photo and the painting is just evolving as I go, I've decided I'm going to add a big tree on this side. So wet and wet again with a quick spray, and this is a mix of cobalt blue and Payne's grey. And here dropping in some of that previous brown mix, and again you can still see I'm trying to get that nice soft edge effect. Next I'm using a beige pastel pencil for a few highlight details. I just feel that white might be a little bit too harsh. Now sorry about the shadow here, the sun has just made an appearance and is coming in through the window. Next, I'm taking some white gouache directly from the tube, so it's nice and thick and gooey and bright. But you can use any white opaque medium for this. Just a few flicks here and there to suggest some little dollops of snow. And I'm using it really dry here on the trunk. It's a great technique for getting that impression of blown snow. Now for the fun, the falling snow. So it's worth a little practice first, just to make sure you get the consistency right. It's the same white gouache again, to about a 50-50 mix of paint and water. And what's great about this is you get all different sized dots, which is exactly what you get with snowflakes at different distances. And now I'm simply painting in the odd larger flake here with a brush. There we go, great fun, and potentially this year's Christmas card. Well, I hope you enjoyed that as much as I did, and you'll give it a go. It really is good fun, especially with that splatting. You should see the state of my desk over there. Anyway, please don't forget to do all the usuals, like, subscribe if you haven't already, leave a comment, and as ever, I look forward to seeing you all again next week for another Watercolour Wednesday. Cheers now, take care.